Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another game review. This time we're checking out Rick Henderson. Rick Henderson is developed by East Asia Soft, Fat Pug Studio, and published by East Asia Soft, and releases on August 31st, 2022 for a price of $7.99. So, what is Rick Henderson? Quite simply, it's a shmup. It's a shmup that features three unique ships that you can take. One, as you can see here, that's more balanced. One that goes for more speed, and then one that goes for more stealth and shield, or not stealth but shield. And the way the game works is you'll spend a couple minutes fighting a variety of random enemies that spawn. As you get further into the game, more and more enemies will spawn and generate, and then as you progress and pick up different things, you will occasionally then interact and run into boss fights, and then you kind of rinse and repeat this same process with how this shmup works. Now, the game does a couple things a little different. As you can see here, I can use my X button to shoot kind of a bullet effect. I can use my A button to shoot a more like spreaded bullet shot, or I can hit my B button to fire off rockets. Now, the different weapons that you use interact different with various enemies. Bigger enemies that are more tough and bulky, you'll want to use rockets. More shielded enemies, you might want to use bullets, and more undefended enemies, your scatter shot. And that just kind of varies on how you want to do. Now, the game takes a little bit of time between reloading and switching your weapons, so you have to manage your time equally, as well as you also have a special effect, which is basically just this little decoy that you can put that makes all the enemies shoot at you. As you can see here, we'll drop the decoy there, so any enemies that fight while the decoy's out, we'll shoot them. Now, as you can see, there's different ribbons that are spawning on the screen. If you look at the bottom of your screen, now, it's a little hard to see, but there's ribbons. If you collect all the colors of a ribbon, you then get to rank up and go up in your quote-unquote rank in the game. And the way that works is it basically just gives you opportunity to get more score. While you're playing, when you defeat bosses, at the end of each boss, you'll get to pick one of four upgradable type sequences to help improve your game, as well as opportunities to pick up tons of ribbons that randomly spawn. As you can see, we almost got a couple. But then after each boss, like I said, there's four different things that you can pick up. So if we can get things that have recoil redemption, score modifiers, even little drones that orbit us, or even better shots, as well as there being pickups while you're playing throughout the game. The game just presents, a lot of variety content. Now, there are a couple different modes to the game. There's the standard mode that you're seeing here. There's also kind of a hardcore version of this mode, and then a boss mode, which is basically just has you fighting bosses over and over, the same ones that you just saw us defeat there just a second ago. As far as enemies in the game, there is honestly a really good variety of enemies, and one thing that I do like that I've complained about a lot of shmups in the past that we've had, that, a lot of the enemies don't feel unique in any capacity, whereas a lot of the enemies here actually do feel quite unique with what they bring to the table. Now, the game's going to ask you basically just to go as far as you can and continue working and progressing, ranking up. That's ultimately the end goal. To try to get through all your ranks, and a lot of that's going to fully be dependent on RNG, as you have really no control over what ribbons spawn, so you just need to hope that you can get the ribbons that you need, and the best way to guarantee that is getting all the way through those boss fights, and, making sure you're using the right guns for the right types of fights and enemies. Here, I'm kind of just using variety guns, I'm not really focusing on it, but if you really want to get super far into this game, you'll have opportunities to really hone your skills in knowing what, guns and stuff to use for certain fights and different occasions. Now, as you can see here, we have ended up picking up an upgrade, so we don't fire rockets anymore. We fire these, exploding grenade projectiles, and it's just a small example of the variety content that this game actually brings to the table. Now, as far as, the ranking thing that the game kind of wants you to do, for me, it's kind of a little bit of a letdown, as there's not really much to it. It's more just, hey, you've hit a rank you've never hit before because you're going to pop an achievement. It doesn't really do a whole lot, but it's a part of the game nonetheless, and it's probably going to be the very last thing as far as achievements that most gamers end up unlocking for this game. Now, what I do enjoy a lot, though, is the bosses. There's a lot of variety content with these bosses, and one boss might come at you with multiple different ways that it fights and attacks. Occasionally you'll get lucky, as you can see right here on screen. I'm getting very fortunate to just have the combination of weapons and gear I have to have this boss be extremely easy to knock out and complete. As you can see there, we also got our ranked up promotion, picked up some ribbons. We're lucky enough to get those. Now the game also has random countered events that can also occur, from meteor showers to various warps and things like that. The game only really asks you to encounter a few of those. As far as like the achievements and everything, the game does do a really good job at everything just being more progressional and over time. So you don't really have to struggle too much outside of, like I mentioned before, those rank achievements that do ask you to hit those. And that's really going to be where I think gamers are going to struggle the most if you're not good at shmups. And it'll probably take a lot of people quite a while just to get good enough to be able to hit whatever targets they need to get those achievements. But nonetheless, if you are looking just for some quick achievements, this is honestly a pretty easy game to get a few hundred gamer score. I think just in a matter of an hour, you'll probably be sitting pretty with a good 300-400 gamer score, and you could still keep honing your skills even after that. Just be sure to make sure to focus on using your shielded guy, your little special ability here, so you can decoy out your enemies and abilities. Now, as far as the game itself, visuals and qualities and all that, I love the soundtrack that accompanies this game. I feel really immersed, and I love the way that just the art style and graphics all fit the theme very well. I think the developers did a great job putting this game together, and it's a really good package. They also have a tutorial that, it's not like the greatest thing in the world at explaining how the game works, but it gets the basis for you. And then you have the opportunity to learn everything else that you need on your own while playing. As far as anything that I really don't like about the game, it's more just, I wish the ribbons and all that stuff kind of mattered a little more for me. But I definitely didn't ever feel like it was too impactful or really did a whole lot for my game. But nonetheless, though, it's still a very enjoyable part of the game. Outside of that, though, if you want to know my thoughts, I definitely think this game is worth picking up. For $8, it's a great shmup. And we don't have too many awesome shmups on the console that have came out this year. And I definitely think that Rick Henderson, despite having a really weird name that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, even after playing the game for a good couple hours, it's still enjoyable. And I think most people would not be too upset with picking up this shmup and adding it to their collection. If you have any other opinions or want to know more about the game, please let me know down below in the comments if you agreed with my review or not. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. We'll let this run kind of finish out until I die, see how far we get. But as far as commentating and reviewing, that's going to be kind of the end of it for me. We'll just continue playing on here until I die. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll catch you next time. Let me go ahead and crank up that game audio so you can enjoy the audio a little better. And go figure, as soon as I switch over, I die. Oh well, I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I hope you check out the game. Have a great rest of your day.